Greetings, RWBY fans. Today we bring you the next update. Now that we have introduced the project to you, it's time to dive into it. First is the foundations of the lore that we have created for Visions. The unified aura theory. In order to keep the many lore elements of RWBY consistent and somewhat easy to understand, we are using what is called the unified aura theory. But what is the unified aura theory? Simply put, this means most of the big lore points of RWBY, such as the Grimm and thus, lead back to aura, the mysterious power of the human soul. They are all related to aura and how it works. To understand this, we will cover the main concept of aura. Since the beginning of history, humans were given the gift of aura to combat the ever-present threat of Grimm. Their souls and desires to live became their shield against these cruel creatures. Now, aura is born from a person's personality, experiences, emotions, and desires. Every living thing has aura, but because of the depth of the human soul, their aura is stronger and more complex than animals or plants. Aura in RWBY Visions comes in two states, passive and active. All creatures are born with passive aura. This aura is very similar to our own body's immune system. It helps you to heal from small wounds, diseases, and protects you from harsh environments. The real magical aspect of aura comes with active aura. Through a traumatic event, intense training, meditation, or a profound understanding of oneself, a person unlocks their aura, making it more powerful. This is called active aura. Why active aura? Because with passive aura, it just protects your body, but we cannot make it do what we want. Once you unlock your aura and turn it into an active force, you are able to manipulate it through training. You can concentrate your aura to one part of your body or project it into your attacks. You can also use aura to coat anything your body touches, such as clothes, armor, and weapons. This is what makes the weapons in RWBY so durable and fast, because the weapon becomes an extension of the person's body and soul through their aura. Most other people in Remnant do not have an active, unlocked aura. Therefore, since ancient history, people with unlocked auras protected those without. They became known as heroes, sentinels, saints, because if someone had their aura unlocked, it meant they went through a lot of hardship or knew themselves very well. These heroes evolved into the profession of huntsmen and huntresses that we know today. Semblance. Only someone with an active aura has a semblance. A semblance manifests itself at the same time someone unlocks their aura. Also, when your aura is broken, you cannot use your semblance. The semblance of a person is directly related to their experiences or desires, and is a reflection of who they truly are. Semblances have been studied for many generations. Called aura sciences, these studies try to determine how a semblance can be artificially created. There were experiments to raise a child and subject them to various experiences in order to make them manifest a certain semblance. This is very prominent in the Shnee family. The Shnees are very ancient, and before the Shnee Dust Company, they were known for breeding powerful huntsmen and huntresses, all with the same semblance. This is part of the Shnee family's secret aura engineering, training, and rituals, which continue through countless generations in order to create the perfect semblance. Weiss basically is a practitioner of an ancient art, and the Shnee semblance is not exactly hereditary by nature, but rather is instilled into a Shnee from childhood through intense training, a rigid, controlled lifestyle, and even aura transferring rituals. More on that when we get to Weiss in a future video. FAUNUS. To make the concept of FAUNUS easier to understand, we made them closer in relation to humans. In fact, FAUNUS are still human at the core of their biology, meaning they can interbreed with humans, but their animal traits are there due to their aura. But how does aura relate to the FAUNUS? It goes like this. Long ago, certain people manifested certain semblances to help them adapt to their environments and survive against the Grimm better. Their semblance ended up changing their genetic structure, taking what ancient humans observed in animals and copying them into their own bodies to give them more of an edge. This phenomena is called aura mutation, where a semblance permanently alters a person's body. Because their genes were permanently changed by this process, these humans passed on their animal traits to their children, multiplying and creating the faunus we know today. Because of these mutations, faunus are very well adapted to specific environments, but very weak in others. A normal human can survive in any place at an average level. A mermaid faunus can live extremely well in the sea, but cannot survive on land for a long time. Humans are jack of all trades, while faunus, owing to their origins, are very specialized. To make faunus reproduction simple to understand, faunus of the same kind give birth to the same kind of faunus. But if two different faunus types breed, usually the child will only have a trait from one of the parents. Dust and Grimm. The dust and Grimm are part of what is called the aura cycle, a concept which everyone in Remnant knows about. We know that dust is a crystal or powder-like energy source, but where does it come from? To explain this, you just need to remember one phrase: ashes to ashes, dust to dust. When a person dies, their bodies return to the earth, and their soul leaves their body. But what about its extension, their aura? After someone's death, traces of their aura are left behind. Years pass, and this excess energy crystallizes into a solid form. It becomes an inert substance until it makes contact with a living person's aura, which sparks it into life and creates its elemental properties. That is basically what dust is: crystallized parts of a dead person's aura. Any living person can use dust, but only someone with an unlocked aura, like a huntsman, can use dust to its full potential, such as using dust in their semblance, as in how Blake makes elemental shadow clones using dust. So in conclusion, dead people's aura become dust. Not so surprisingly, some people have tried killing animals and even people to create more dust. But the process of leftover aura becoming dust takes many years, too long for someone to exploit this by killing people and farming it from their corpses. This process of aura to dust is a well-known fact in Remnant, and people see it from a circle of life kind of perspective. Long ago, many people died protecting their loved ones from Grimm. Their bodies became dust over time, and their descendants used this dust to fight Grimm. Because of this, dust has a very symbolic and spiritual meaning. It is the sacrifices of one generation becoming the hope of the next. Lately, due to the commercialization of dust, this worldview has become old-fashioned, but many people still do respect this at some level. This also means dust is a literal fossil fuel, and will most definitely run out faster than the kingdoms can keep up. Now, onto the Grimm. I mentioned that dust and Grimm are part of the aura cycle. So, when a person dies, they leave behind parts of their aura, and that becomes dust. However, the regrets, laments, and negative emotions they carried in life also separate upon death, giving birth to Grimm. After a person's death, the corruptions in their aura fester and rot. The pure parts of their aura energy become dust, while the impurities become a liquid-like substance that gives birth to Grimm. The Grimm exist as the opposite force of aura. This is why Grimm do not have it. If aura is the manifestation of life, then the Grimm are the manifestations of death. They are created from mankind's regrets and hurts. This is also why the Grimm are very fixated on killing humans. The Grimm in RWBY Visions are attracted to negativity, but not exactly as a food source. Rather, they are drawn to the negativity in human souls because that is where the Grimm are born, so to speak. They cause chaos and suffering because this will create humans with tortured souls, so that when the Grimm kills the person, their deaths create more numerous and stronger Grimm. Chaos and suffering creates more Grimm, which create more chaos. This is how the Grimm spread like a virus, continually feeding and creating more of itself. This is why only a simple, more honest soul with a heart freed from regrets and pain is the only thing truly capable of defeating the Grimm, which is Ruby Rose's ultimate role in the story of RWBY Visions. Another important point is the fact that different types of Grimm are born from different emotions. Certain negative emotions will create a certain type of Grimm. For example, most people have felt lonely in their lives. Therefore, loneliness is a very common negative emotion. So, What type of Grimm are created from loneliness? Beowolves. They travel in packs, so they are not on their own. Other examples include King Taijitus being created from hypocrisy and lies because they have two heads. Ursai are created from feelings of dominance over others, just as how Nevermores are born from grief, so on and so forth. The more complicated the emotions, the more complex the Grimm is. This is also not even talking about Salem, which is a topic for another time. And that is it for Aura, or more specifically, the unified Aura theory. A lot of different lore elements connect back to the system in RWBY Visions, so we decided to put them all into one video. Next, we will be looking at the Four Kingdoms plus all the other political powers of Remnant. This includes Atlas, the Huntsman Academies and their roles in the story. Until then, see you on the next video, and thank you for your interest.